I think they should withdraw all the charges against Mi'kmaq fishers.
Tonight, a Mi'kmaq lobster harvester goes to court.
I am not comfortable with the motion put forward and the removal that we're trying to proceed with.
Nunavut MLAs vote Patterk Netser out of cabinet.
We are containing it, but it will take some more time to fully contain that outbreak within the correctional centre.
And an outbreak of COVID in a Manitoba jail. Good evening. Welcome to APTN National News. I'm Melissa Ridgen. It was a relatively calm weekend in Caledonia, but there's still a huge police presence there as 1492 land-back defenders continue to defy a court injunction to leave a development site. Annette Francis is there and she has more details.
I'm standing on Argyle Street in Caledonia, just outside the police barricade that was set up last week when things heated up. It's been quiet over the weekend, and just yesterday, the supporters of Landback Lane held a peaceful march down this road in support of unity. Following that march, the Ontario Provincial Police posted this video on Twitter.
And the male with camo is throwing rocks at us. We haven't hit yet. And who's throwing rocks? Male party with camo, and we've been lacrosse stick is hitting our cruiser. Authorizing the rest, Mike 9 and 10. Windshield of our cruiser's broken.
Today, Landback spokesperson Skylar William said it's just another provocative action on the part of the OPP. When asked what it would take to remove the bus and the barricades, Williams said this.
To get a start to those negotiations happening, that would be a good start. For honest and open dialogue, these are the same things that we've been saying for the last 100 days. That we're open and ready to have whatever open and honest dialogue with the federal and provincial governments. Now, 99 days ago we were ready. Let's get that started. Stop dragging your feet. It's time now.
Today marks 100 days since they took over the development sites, and to date, there's been 33 arrests. Back to you, Melissa.
Thanks, Annette. In southwestern Nova Scotia, a Mi'kmaq lobster harvester was in court facing charges for exercising his right to fish for a moderate livelihood. Angel Moore has the details.
Thanks, Melissa. Individuals like Ashton Bernard of Eskazoni First Nation have been fishing their own moderate livelihood before Mi'kmaq bands launched their own management plan. Last September 2019, the Department of Fisheries and Oceans seized about 3,000 pounds of Bernard's lobster at Pickney's Point Wharf. Bernard and his crew are facing charges of lobster fishing during a closed season, fishing without authorization, possessing lobster, and violating the Aboriginal communal fishing regulations. Bernard now fishes under his community plans, but the DFO is still harassing him.
Yeah, it's great that the bands are putting up their plans together right now, and the chiefs are standing with us. But doesn't matter. DFO is still taking our gear, even the band issue tax that I got from Eskazoni.
More bands are launching their own moderate livelihood fishery, exercising their treaty rights, upheld in 1999 by the Supreme Court of Canada, known as the Marshall Decision. The Mi'kmaq have a right to hunt, fish, and gather to earn a moderate livelihood, and Mi'kmaq lawyer Michael McDonald says court is a waste of time.
I think they should withdraw all the charges against Mi'kmaq fishers right now, because especially now that you have the Prime Minister of Canada saying straight up that Mi'kmaq people have a right to fish for a moderate livelihood. Department of Fisheries need to lay off and leave these Mi'kmaq people alone and let them practice their right.
The charges against Bernard are stayed till December 1st, although negotiations between the DFO have fell through with the Assembly of Nova Scotia Mi'kmaq Chiefs. The Mi'kmaq will continue to exercise their treaty rights. Back to you, Winnipeg.
Thanks, Angel. Ottawa got its first snow flurries of the fall, but that didn't prevent a demonstration from taking place on Parliament Hill this afternoon. A little over 100 people gathered near the Centennial Flame. calling the demonstration Shut Down Canada for Indigenous Rights. Indeed, numerous issues were on everyone's mind, everything from Algonquin moose to Mi'kmaq harvesting rights to the fight for land in Caledonia. Victoria Marchand was one of those on the Hill today.
We're all trying to come together to really prove to society that, these systems have not changed since 1492, since contact, and it's still been the same reoccurring assimilation tactics and aggressive tactics that are ongoing today. And so we're trying to come together and really raise awareness, but also do it in a peaceful way with love. And
the water crisis in Northern Ontario and the fishing crisis in Nova Scotia both got notice of MPs during question period. Conservative leader Erin O'Toole led off question period with those issues, starting with the appointment of Alistair Surrett as a mediator in the Nova Scotia fisheries dispute.
Speaker, on Friday, the government put out an urgent news release on the fisheries crisis. At 10:18 p.m. Nova Scotia time, they appointed a former Liberal politician to cover up their inaction on the fishery issue. The only thing the two sides agree on, Mr. Speaker, is that the fisheries minister is failing Nova Scotia. Mr. Speaker, we're months into this crisis. When is the government finally going to take the lives and livelihoods of Nova Scotians seriously?
The Honourable Deputy Prime Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And Mr. Speaker, actually, the people of Nova Scotia, and I believe the people of Canada, agree strongly on one thing, and that is that all of us want a peaceful, constructive solution to the fisheries dispute in Nova Scotia. All of us appreciate the importance, the huge priority of honoring the rights of Indigenous people and First Nations in our country. All of us also understand the importance of conservation. That is the approach our government will take, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Mr. Speaker, the rights of Indigenous Canadians are important, and that's why it's disappointing the Prime Minister once again walked back a promise to end all boil watery advisories on Indigenous reserves by the end of 2021. Test results revealed harmful substances in the water at Neskantaga, leading to a full-scale evacuation of the community. As winter begins to set in northwestern Ontario, the people of Neskantaga have been forced to flee their homes, this after living with boil water advisories for 25 years, Mr. Speaker. How many more walkbacks will there be from this Prime Minister to show that he cares? Will he get it done?
The Honourable Deputy Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I am very glad to hear the Leader of the Official Opposition talk about the importance of ending boiled water advisories, and I noted that he spoke about how this problem has been going on for 25 years. That's a time of both Liberal and Conservative governments. And I would say we have a shared responsibility, all members in this House, to address the huge historical injustices against Indigenous people. We are working hard to end the boiled water advisories, and we will end them.
Nunavut's sole member of parliament has announced that she will be stepping away to take time to heal for at least 8 weeks. Mumla Kaka had announced Friday that she was dealing with some personal health problems that are not COVID-19 related. Kaka said that her doctor has suggested she take at least 8 weeks off work. She was elected to serve Nunavut in the October 2019 federal election. In a statement released on Friday, Kaka said that she was touched by how people across the territory have kindly been to her, welcoming her into their homes. She said, quote, "There is no doubt that Nunavut would see a major drop in deaths by suicide if the federal government would just honor their obligations and provide adequate housing." Kaka said that her constituents remain her main priority, and her office will remain open while she's healing. Just over 2 weeks after Nunavut's premier stripped him of cabinet portfolios, Patterk Netser got to make his case to the members of the Legislative Assembly and argue why he should keep his job. But not before members got to hear one of the most remarkable speeches ever given at the Assembly. This is from Iqaluit.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Premier Joseph Kika took away Nunavut MLA Patterk Netser's cabinet positions after Netser posted on Facebook asking how many abortions Black Lives Matter protesters have. Under Nunavut's consensus system of government, the Premier assigns the cabinet jobs, but only the full Assembly can remove someone from cabinet. First, Sivikata made his case for removal.
This kind of intolerance is not covered under one's freedom of expression, and it is simply not an option to ignore this intolerance. Nunavut MLAs deserve better.
Only one of his colleagues took to the floor to support Netzik. Netselik riding MLA Emiliano Pirngnuk.
The written note that he made were not written in the House. And so, therefore, I'm not comfortable with the motion put forward and the removal that we're trying to proceed with. Because, as you mentioned, we do have an expression of freedom, expression within Canada.
When Netzik rose to defend himself, he did express some regret for part of his comments. He said he's learned that saying all lives matter undermines black people.
And I would not have chosen these words if I knew they could be misconstrued as attempting to negate the struggles of my black brothers and sisters.
Then Netzik began to read a letter into the record, one he says he received from a non-Inuk supporter who lives in Nunavut. Netzik spent 4.5 minutes reading the conspiracy theory-packed letter into the record. Here's some of it.
Will they be picked up and shipped into the dark of the night to one of the many new internment camps built across Canada today? It would be easy to become an unreported lost souls now that the federal government pays Canadian news media and currently rushing towards controlling what is said and reported on the internet. How quickly it has become all lives don't matter. Today, express an opinion or think out loud and you're removed. Impose mind control for all to stay silent.
MLAs then voted on Netzik's future in cabinet, and by a vote of 13-3, they voted to remove him. Netzik will remain as the Evilik riding MLA and loses around $30,000 in annual income he received from his cabinet post. MLAs will choose another MLA to replace him, but the date that will happen is not immediately clear. Ken Driscoll, APTN National News, Iqaluit.
We want to hear what you think about politicians being sacked for expressing controversial personal opinions on their social media. You can let us know what you think. Send your emails to news@aptn.ca. You can leave a comment on aptnnews.ca. And be sure to also follow APTN News on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube, where you can share your comments. We've got to take a break, but coming up, Manitoba's largest provincial jail has come down with a COVID-19 outbreak.
There was an interaction with an inmate which led to the a virus coming within corrections.
Welcome back. The NDP have won a majority government in British Columbia. The provincial election was held there on Saturday, and the results show the party leading in 55 of the 87 ridings. Final vote counts won't be available till mid-November, but with the results so far, the Liberal Party are projected to win 29 seats, and the Green Party will win 3. The party took a gamble calling an early election in the middle of a pandemic, but it paid off with the NDP's first majority government in over 2 decades. At a press conference this weekend, Premier Horgan said they will wait for final results, but there is work that needs to be done in the meantime.
We have a lot ahead of us. We need to continue to work on our climate action plan to continue to lead the continent in protecting our natural environment for future generations. We need to continue to work with Indigenous peoples to make sure the UN Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous Peoples makes some sense in every corner of British Columbia.
The former chief of the Fond du Lac des Ulin First Nation in Saskatchewan has been sentenced to 3 years in jail for fraud. During his 2-year term as chief from 2009 to 2011, Napoleon Mercredi took $260,000 from the band's funds. On top of the prison term, Mercredi was ordered to pay back $120,000 in restitution, including $29,000 for a truck, which will be turned back over to the band. To Manitoba, where a jail is dealing with the COVID-19 outbreak for the first correctional centre in the province to have this. Cases more than tripled in the past 2 weeks. Today, the province is defending its response to the outbreak. Brittany Hobson explains.
A COVID-19 outbreak was declared at Headingley Correctional Centre on October 13th. At the time, 7 inmates tested positive with the virus. Now those numbers are up to 33. Dr. Jazz Atwell, a provincial medical health officer, says officials are working to stop the spread.
We are containing it, but it will take some more time to fully contain that outbreak within the correctional centre.
The province says they have implemented several protocols since declaring an outbreak, including a mandatory 14-day quarantine for new inmates at the remand centre, COVID-19 testing for all new inmates, and temperature checks for staff.
From a public health perspective, we know that there is zero risk that's possible. I mean, zero risk to attain that is relatively impossible, so we want to mitigate the risk as much as possible.
There are currently 6 staff at Headingley who have the virus, along with 5 staff at other corrections locations. Dr. Atwell confirmed the virus was brought into Headingley by a guard who was asymptomatic.
There was an interaction with an inmate which led to the a virus coming within corrections.
Justice Minister Cliff Cullen says the outbreak was to be expected and applauded staff for their work in addressing the number of cases.
We're not unique in Manitoba with correction facilities now being impacted. We're seeing outbreaks in other provinces and other jurisdictions as well.
However, NDP Justice critic Nahani Fontaine says the province isn't doing enough.
People who are incarcerated are Manitobans. They're citizens. They're entitled to rights. They're entitled to be safe while they're incarcerated. They're entitled to be taken care of while they are sick. And we're not seeing that right now.
Brittany Hobson, APTN National News, Winnipeg.
Diamond mining in the Northwest Territories was already past its peak before the COVID-19 pandemic struck, but the outlook for the North's economic pillar is now looking even worse. Dominion Diamond, the owner of 2 of the 3 mines in the territory, is in financial hot water. In May, the company filed for creditor protection and have laid off nearly 400 workers at their Ekati mine sites. The union representative for Ekati says the future is uncertain for the few people still working at the mine.
It's kind of stressful not knowing your own future and the future of colleagues. Some colleagues I'll work along with have had to set aside payments for, say, their mortgages or whatever. Mm-hmm. Some other ones have been lucky to find other work. They're all financially, emotionally struggling out there, I know that.
We have to take another break, but when we come back, a music project to help those suffering from addiction.
Just started putting musicians together that I knew could do the job in the studio, and it all just sort of fell into place.
Welcome back. It's now time for our photo of the day. Today's picture is of little Talon Linklater of Puckatawagan, Manitoba. Talon is only 2 months old, but he is obviously ready for Halloween. Be sure to send your picture to share at aptn.ca. We love scenery of the land, but we also want to see Halloween photos. Kids dressed up, little ghosts and goblins, or some extraordinary Halloween decorations. Whatever you've got, send them to share at aptn.ca, and maybe your picture will be our photo of the day. Now let's take a look at tomorrow's weather forecast.
Off to the east coast, we got 4 in showers for Fredericton, 14 in rain for St. John's. Nain, -2 and mostly sunny skies, snow, and -4 for Kuujjuaq. Saguenay, 4 in showers, Montreal, sunshine, and 6. North Bay, sunny and 2 degrees, 4 in sunshine for Sault Ste. Marie. Kapuskasing, Sudbury, and Timmins, all sunny and 2, -1 and snow for Sioux Lookout. -1 for God's Lake and Norway House and snow there. -3 for Thompson and Puckatawagan and snow. 0 and snow for Winnipeg. 4 and snow for Dauphin. 10 and cloud for Swift Current, snow and 8 for Saskatoon. 4 and snow for Buffalo Narrows, -7 and snow for Stony Rapids. 5 and sunny skies for Fort McMurray, 9 and sunshine or cloud for Grand Prairie. Red Deer, 8 and sunshine, 11 and rain for Medicine Hat. Vancouver, rain and 8 degrees, 5 and cloud for Quesnel. Smithers, 10 and some rain, 4 and sunny for Dease Lake. Old Crow, -13 and sunny skies. Mayo, mix of sun and cloud and 2. -3 and snow for Wrigley. Fort Liard, -2 and snow. Inuvik, sunshine and -11. Same with Fort McPherson. New Yacht, -6 and snow. Same with Chesterfield. Tallyoak, -17 and snow. -11 and sunny skies for Clyde River. Pangertung, -6 and sunny.
The Cold Manitoba Project is a collaborative effort between Canadian artists and musicians who make songs about reconciliation. The third of 3 songs from the project, titled Land and Tide, was released on all streaming platforms. The project is a direct response to Gord Downey's call to Canadians to help with reconciliation. 100% of the proceeds from the songs go to the Native Addictions Council of Manitoba. The Cold Manitoba Project was created by musician Mike Boguski, who suffered from substance abuse himself, and the idea for the project came to him while on tour with Blue Rodeo. While in Winnipeg, he saw many people who face addictions.
I was so affected by that, and I remember his call to Canadians was, do what you can to help with reconciliation. Well, what does that mean? I knew in that instant that I wanted to help those people I saw that day in Winnipeg. And I did some research and I found out about Pritchard House and Native Addiction Council Manitoba. And I just started putting musicians together that I knew could do the job in the studio. And it all just sort of fell into place.
Wonderful project there. Well, that is your news to kick off a new week, the last week of October. I'm Melissa Ridgen. Stay healthy. Have a great night.